Yesterday class topic is what?
All right, organization. But when I think GitHub and Google both are working as rats. Good, good, good. In over yesterday class, we discussed organization. So we have some terminology related to work. You should have the clarity about the terminology. So we have the four terms in the word. One is like one is client. One is what? Client. One is the resource owner. Resource owner. Client, resource owner. Client and what? Resource owner. Client is there, resource owner is there. And we have the authorization server is there, resource server is there. Authorization server and what the resource server. So you have the clarity about the four terms in the four or five one. Four right one, right? Yeah. One is what the resources client and client. Yeah. One the database first term is what a client. The second term is what a resource resource one. Resource one. Third one is what a authorization auth server. And fourth one is a resource server. Fourth one is what? A resource server. Total four terms you have to get the clarity, guys. Client, resource owner, auth server, resource server. A server and what? Resource server. See guys, authentication server and resource server. Authentication server and what? Resource server, resource owner and what? A client. Assume that you are going to log into ChatGPT. When you are clicking on ChatGPT, you are registering a continue with Google. No? Continue with Google. Continue with what? Google. Continue with Google means where is your details? Sir? Here is your login details. Where is your details? In the Google, right? That is called resource server. Your resources are present in the resource server. Your resources are present in what? Resource server. So your details are present in the resource server. Your details are present in the like ChatGPT resource server. Resource server. Your details are present in the resource server. Resource what? Server. Your details are present in resource server. Resource means what? Your detail. Your detail owner is what? You are the owner, right? Then resource owner means you are the client. You are the resource owner. You are the resource. Resource means details. Here, who is the owner of your details? Sir? You only owner of your details, right? That is called resource owner. You are the resource owner. So you are what? Resource owner. You are the resource owner. Where is your details? Sir? Resource server. Resource service belongs to the Google. They have your details, right? That is called what? Resource server. And resource owner and the resource server. That's all. We got the two values totally here. One is a resource server and what? Resource owner. Hey, go back. Resource server and what? Resource. Yeah, bite ever layer office boys. Stand up, stand up. Never happened. Yeah, one is what? Resource server. Resource server means what? Your details are present in what? Server. That is called what? Resource server. Resource owner means what? You are the resource owner because the details are belongs to what? You guys. That is called resource owner. You are the resource owner. Then authentication server also is present in the Google only because they should authenticate the data here. Authentication server I will discuss. Authentication server also belongs to what? Google. Client means here who want your details. You are the resource owner. Your details are present in where? Resource server. You are what? Resource owner. You are the resource owner and your details are present in where? Resource server. Who required your details? He is a client. He is a client who required your details. Because ChatGPT required your details, right? Then you can click on what? Continue with the ChatGPT. ChatGPT required what? Continue with the Google. Nice. Then client. Who is a client here? Who need the details? Who need the details? Who need the details is called client, guys. Who need the details is called what? Client. Who need the details means ChatGPT require the data that's what here I can take the example is what this is called chat GPT. The ChatGPT require the details then who need the details is called what? Client. They also stand up, go back. The class timing వచ్చినాయి కదా పొడుచుకోవాలి మీరు ఏమన్నా client. Who require the details is called what? Client. Who need the details is called client is ChatGPT. Resource owner means you are the resource owner because your details. Resource server means your details are present in what? Google. That is called resource server means there. Resource what server is there, right? Exactly. Now see guys, you are going for what? Open the ChatGPT. Open what? ChatGPT. When you open the ChatGPT, then what happened? Tell me here. Open the ChatGPT. Click on what? Click on what? Click on continue with what? Google. When you click on the continue to Google, guys, who is the client here? ChatGPT. Because he requires the details. Who need the details is called client. Resource owner means you are the resource owner. When you open the ChatGPT, click on what? Continue with what? Google. Hey, open the ChatGPT. Click on what? Continue to Google. Who clicked on continue to Google? Who clicked? Resource owner. Resource owner clicked on what? Continue to Google. Continue to what? Google. Continue to Google means then what happened? Resource owner is accepted. Resource owner is what? Accepted. Resource owner is accepted what? Continue to Google. When the resource owner is accepted, continue to Google. Continue to what? Google. Who is accepted? Resource owner. He accepted continue to Google. Then immediately ChatGPT will send a request to what? Resource. The ChatGPT guys. Then what? ChatGPT GPT will send what? Request to. Tell me guys. GPT will send the request to resource. Because your details are there in what? Resource server. That's what he sending the request to what? Resource server. Okay, fine. That is not correct actually. That is not send the request to resource server. GPT will send the request to the authentication server of the Google or server. See, directly you click on the ChatGPT means directly you cannot get the details, right? First of all, when you click on the ChatGPT, the Google has to authenticate you are the valid person or not. Once you are a valid person, then auth server resource server will give the details. Yes or no? You click on ChatGPT. You click on continue to Google. I am the Google. Directly I will not get the details, right? You click on the continue to Google means first I need to check you are the valid person for the Google or not. You are the when you click on the continue to Google, resource owner accepted. Click on what? Continue to Google. Then GPT will send the request to what? Auth server in the Google. He will send the request to auth server first. Auth server will Google auth server guys will identify whether you are valid user or not. You click on continue to Google and you select an account and you enter the password, right? That is called auth server will do that. Who will do that guys? GPT will send the request to what? The resource server directly. Auth server means authorization server. GPT will send the request to authorization server. GPT will send the request to what? Authorization server. Auth server validate the user. User correct or not. So if he is correct, if he is what? Correct. You click on ChatGPT guys. In the ChatGPT, continue to Google. Continue to Google means what? First it is go for the continue to Google means what? It's asking account and password, right? Account and what? Password. Account and password, right? Account and what? Password. Like that, GPT will send the request to what? Auth server. Other authorization server of the other auth server means what? Auth server of what? Auth server of what? Google. Auth server will validate the user is correct or not. If correct, tell me guys, if correct, give the access token to access what? Access token to GPT. What GPT. First you click on the GPT, continue to Google. Continue to Google means what? Then GPT send the request to what? Request to what? Auth server. Auth server is validate you guys and validate the user. After validating the user, auth server is giving what? Okay, he is a valid user. Give the access token to the GPT. It's not like your valid user means directly Google is not giving the details to you. Not give the details to what? Client. Client means what? ChatGPT, right? The ChatGPT you click on the continue to Google. Continue to Google means what? Request comes to what? Our server. Our server means what server? Google server. In the Google server, identify valid and you will valid. If you are valid means it will not give the details to ChatGPT directly. If you are valid, if you are what? Valid. Tell me, if you are what? Valid, then Google Auth server will give the access token to the GPT. Because here in the charging in the Google, we have a two kind of servers actually. One is authorized server is there, one is a resource server is there. Authorized server responsibility is what? Checking that is a valid user or not. If it is a valid user, give the access token to the GPT. Access token to who? GPT. Then what the ChatGPT will do? ChatGPT will send that access token to again Google to the resource server. To what server? Resource server. Tell me guys, our server is first one is what? Open the ChatGPT. Open what ChatGPT. So who are going to work on? Go resource one open the ChatGPT. Resource owner is accepted what? Continue with the Google. Continue with Google means then what happened? Tell me. GPT will send the request to what? Google Auth server. Auth server of the Google. Then Auth server will validate the user is correct or not. If user is correct, then you what? Auth server will validate the user if it is valid. Correct or not. If he is correct, you what? Access token to the GPT. Access token to what? GPT. Then GPT will do what? GPT will send what? Send the request to what? Resource server using the token. Using what? Token. Who given this token? Auth server. Auth server is given the token. But background this much process happened generally. You should have the clarity about the terms first of all. What is a client? Who is a resource owner? Who is auth server? What is the resource server? What is what? Resource server. Open what? ChatGPT. Resource owner means what? You are the resource owner. You click on what? Accept. Accept what? Click on. Continue with what? Google. GPT will send the request to what? Auth server. GPT will send the request direct auth server. Auth server will validate like you are the valid user or not. If he is valid user means directly giving what? Details, right? Okay. Okay. If you are valid user means our server is directly giving the details, the only access token now. Access token to whom? ChatGPT. Client is what? Here, what is the client? You are the client or ChatGPT is the client? Then what you are now? So, who require the details like client? Who require the details here? ChatGPT require the details. That's what ChatGPT is what? ChatGPT is a client. You are what? Who click on continue to Google? Who validate the your valid user now? Who will give the details to the ChatGPT? Huh? Resource server. How the resource server will give the details to the ChatGPT? By using access token. That is in. That is a flow. That is what? At least when you click on the continue to Google, you can tell this much process happen. So open the ChatGPT. GPT will send the request to what? Resource server using the token. Who will provide the details to the client? Resource. So GPT will send the request to what? Resource server using the token. The resource server will provide the resource server will provide the. Tell me guys, provide the resource server. The resource server will provide the resource server will provide the. Tell me, resource server will provide what? Resource server. The resource server will provide what? Provide the resource server will provide the details to client. Who is the client here? How many terms here you go for the award? What is the client? What is the resource owner? Client means what? Who need the details is called client. Who need the details? Who require the details? Who need the details is called what? Client. Who require the details is called client. Second is what? Resource owner. Who is the resource owner? You are the resource owner. Example is what? User. User is the resource owner. Third one is what? Auth server will validate the user. User what? user details. Validate the user. Validate the user. That's it. Because validate the user means what? Just you can say the example is what? Google validate the what? Gmail, right? Validate what? Gmail. Resource server means what? Resource server. Resource server means what? Provide your details. Provide the details. Provide the details, right? Resource server provide the details, guys, because it contains the details and what? Contains and provide the details, guys. Contains and what? Provide the details. Like details means what? Your for example, your details means what, guys? Your username and like password username. What details are given to ChatGPT? Username, profile pic, username, profile pic, Gmail name, and something basic details there. Yesterday you are seeing the details, right? What the details will be. So these are the terms required in the open organization, guys. What are the roles in open organization? What are the tell me what are the roles in what? Open organization what? Just you can say what? What we have the details like client, resource owner, auth server. That's it. What is the client? Who need the required details? Here, who require the details? ChatGPT require the details. Or Google require the details. ChatGPT require the details is the client. But the resource owner? We are the resource owner because we have the details. Our details means we are the owners. Who is auth server? Huh? Validate the user and the ChatGPT sending the request to what? Auth server. Auth server is providing the details and just validating the details. Details are provide access token. Provide what? Access token. Access token. Once you get the access token, then what happened here? Provide access token to who? Client. Client. Nothing but charge. Provide access token to the client. Client is nothing but what? With that, what happened? ChatGPT will send the. Where is your details? Where is your details? Who will click on accept terms and conditions? Resource? Who want details? ChatGPT. I'll be the example. You have to tell me the example. Who require details? Client. Client is nothing but what? Who require the details? Client is what? Who will validate the data? To validate the data, who will send the request to the auth server? Client is okay. ChatGPT is okay, right? And that is a process. But important. What not important? Who is accepting and who is a resource owner? Terms, client to resource owner. Tell me what the resource owner will do, what the auth server will do, what the one is what client, second is what? Resource client, resource owner. Who is the client means? ChatGPT. Who require the details is the what? ChatGPT is the resource. Who require the details is the what? Client. ChatGPT, right? Who will have your details? Resource server. Resource server is having your details, right? Resource server is having what? Your details. That's it, guys. Write the points. What are the roles involved? రాసుకోండమ్మా guys రాసుకో. What are the roles in open authorization? Client means what? Who required? Who required or who need the details? Who need the details? That is enough, right? Who required the details? Not enough. You take your points. What is the resource owner? Resource owner means you are the resource owner. Nothing but the user who owns the data. Authenticating the user and issuing what? Providing the access to. But the role of auth server? Authenticating what? User and provide the access token. Provide the access token to what? Whom? Client. Provide the access token. Providing is good, issuing the access token is good. Server. Authenticating the user, issuing what? Access token to the client. Yeah, you understood the process, right? So, write the process flow. What process flow? What process flow means? I told you open the chat GPT, open the resource owner like that, right? You write all the points. Open the chat GPT. Second step is what? Who will click on the continue? Write that line also. Resource owner accepts and click on what? Continue with Google.
Hey Raju. Hey Raju.
What yesterday I have extended morning or evening or complete day. And I can order. Hey, you get the 7 points. 7 points was the connector. 4 points was the worst. 5 points was the worst. तो उसको नहीं बात उसका मतलब नहीं है लॉजिक बताओ ना पूछो ना White line and yellow. काम क्या हो रहा है तुझे लिखा हुआ काम कर रही है इससे ड्राइंग कर रही काम है इसका नोट नहीं लिखा है चार पे if I start listening and it is not sort of राजभवन होते हुए
Hey, how many points you got total? Hey, we put some. Run. Sit. See, open the ChatGPT. Resource owner accept and clicks the continue with the Google. ChatGPT send the request to authorized server for the authorized server of the Google. ChatGPT send the request to what? So ChatGPT sending the request to ఒక line right. Then authorized server validate the user credentials. If the authorization, if the user is correct, authorized server what? If the user is correct, what? Authorized server issue the access token to ChatGPT. And we can know. Authorized server validate the authorized server validate the user credential. If the user is correct, user is what? Correct. Authorization server issue the access token to client. Then ChatGPT send the request to resource owner using access token. You request any asset. Then resource server validate the request. Sorry, resource server provide the user details to ChatGPT. After validating what? After validating the access token. Access token. Then process is what? 5 and what? 6. What is the SS for? Single? Single sign-on. Single sign-on is what? Single sign-on allows user. SSO stands for what? Right that point? SSO stands for single sign-on. SSO allows the user to access what? Access one application or multiple applications are? Multiple websites or applications with a single set of what? Oh, a single set of what? Login details. For example, we are registering what? Gmail with registration details. Remaining all websites are what? Continue to Google. How this SSO can be implemented? Using what? Someone is asking what is SSO means, you tell that point. Someone is asking what also, tell the same point overall. What means what? The user is allowed to use one website, multiple websites are. Multiple websites with a single set of what? Credentials. Single set of credentials. User is allowed to access the multiple websites with a single set of credentials. Saying WAP 2.0 means that the version simply WAP 1.0, WAP 2.0. That is the simply versions. What is the process we follow before what? Before what we are doing? Before using what every website, you must register by registration form. We must register by what? Registration form. Every website you should register. Before using what every website, you must register by registration form. Then you will get the username password. Using that username password, enter into website. But this approach was good or not good? This approach was risky, guys, because these days we have multiple loan apps and different websites we have. If you share all your, details like PAN number, Aadhaar number to every website, what they will do? They will misuse your details, right? They will misuse what? Your details. But you can believe, like, you can trust the GitHub and Google and Facebook, right? That's what, guys. Only trusted people they'll provide the details to the users. This approach was risky and because you expose personal information to what? All websites and made the account more vulnerable. Vulnerable. Vulnerable means what? Security attacks. Someone is asking what is the work means, you should start like, before work, create a website. You tell like, entire process, guys. What do you know? So that the interview can understand, okay, you are good at the subject. You don't tell only that point about the work. Then he said like you by heart the definition. So before I was asking what means before what we are registering for every website, they provide registration form, they provide the username password, you enter website, they can misuse the details. That's what I'm going for the single sign-on. Go for what? Single sign-on. With a single set of login credentials, we can enter into what? Multiple websites. We can trust only specific people like GitHub and Google and Facebook. Like that. What are the companies what companies we can trust for what?